Listening to Mostly Minnesota Music on WMCN 91.7 in St. Paul. It is 3 o'clock. It is time for our special guests. Jennifer Murray, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's a delight. A delight to have you here.
Trust me, the honor is mine. I was told earlier this week that you had a spot opening, and I was like, clear my calendar. I want to be here and meet you ladies, and I'm just so honored to be here. So thank you so much.
But before we start talking about your latest album, just tell us a little bit about folks, your background.
So I feel, I probably am too self-deprecating to myself, I will say. I feel like I'm, starting my music career later in life. And so I see, these young artists, and I'm like, I just, the world is your oyster, And so I had a young family. We have 2 girls. I'm married. And as some people can relate to, you have duties of a young family, working full time. I still work full time. So as much as I loved songwriting and making music, I just had to put that aside. And for 11 years, just focused on, whether I could sing in church or just do fun stuff at home, put it all aside, raise the family, do the stuff they needed to do. So then in fall of 2020, I was at this little cabin. My family, we don't own a cabin, but we do that like VRBO thing. So way out in Ely, Minnesota. Yeah. We were, the kids were outside. My husband's name is Jeremy. They were outside doing something with the dog, and I was in front of this fire pit. If you can kind of imagine this frame I'm presenting to you. I'm in front of a fire. I had this notebook, and I just feel this calling again on my life of like, this is coming back to you. I don't know why this time. Nothing like happened in my life, or like, the kids were in their, middle school ages. And it just felt like they were becoming more, autonomous and just able to handle things. So I just felt like this freedom a little bit more to dedicate a little bit more back to the loves that I loved in my life. So I just started writing in this notebook, and they ended up being lyrics to the first song of my album that I released in 2021. And so it was like this bringing back of like all the things that I love to do. And it was a Christian album because that's what I thought that I wanted to do. I released that and had great success and really loved that, but I found that it was very difficult for me to play in the Twin City market for sure with that type of music. And, you could do churches, but for those in the church network, we have some incredible church musicians and church staff where they don't necessarily need people to come in and do music at churches because they can either hire it from their own staff or they just don't do that type of thing. So I could do events here and there, but I just felt like when I had this album that I was so proud of, and I'm like, here we go, I want to do venues. And then I would play it out and I'd be like, well, I can't really play this type of music at, 318 and Astor Cafe. That's not the type of music that is appropriate there. So I kind of felt like I had to start over in a way. I'm just like, okay, what do I want to say? What is my message? So I'm kind of in this crossover, if you will, and I'm trying so hard to find other pop women, female leads like me, that I feel like Americana and folk is huge in our Twin City Metro, which I have so many great musicians and producers that make incredible type of that music. But that's not what I make. So I'm trying so hard to find the path that works best for me. And so far that's been this pop album that I've created, and it'll come out on January 10th. And so I'm so excited to talk more about that today. But I'm talking a lot in my answer.
We like that.
Oh yeah.
We like that. Keep her going.
I like the history.
Okay, so long story short, that is the short answer, the long answer to your question of just, I started writing again in 2020, released an album that I could tell just wasn't quite the right fit, and then started this next one that'll come out in January.
Just a lot to unpack, just to kind of start from some of the beginning. I like the idea that the music came to you so easily while you were at the cabin, because I myself have a rake of kids. I have 3 kids. But that kind of gives you the gift of like feeling like, the kids can not be without you, obviously,
Sure.
but I can focus on something else too.
Yeah, that you have a life.
Yes.
Yes, your
Yes.
desires and your, yes.
If they touch the hot stove, it's on them now. It's not on me. You know, I mean, there's just with kids, there just comes
Yes.
a point. And
Yeah.
I will say, middle school is not an easy time.
No.
It's not.
No.
But it is a difference where they're not gonna walk in front of a car. You know, like they're
Yes.
not. They are.
It's different needs.
Yes. They have some autonomy.
Yes.
They absolutely have some.
Yes.
But what a gift for that to come to you, both the invitation to go back to the music and kind of the permission to shut a window, not a door, on some of
Thank you. It was a very special season in my life where I felt like, okay, this is maybe a season that I can revisit that I wasn't expecting. Yeah, it was very special.
Is it something that sort of fills you up too instead of depletes you? Like, so you can be the mom and the full-time and the partner and
Absolutely.
all the things?
I will say it comes with its balances because I still do work full time. And so trying to fit music in with the working, and then I still do volunteer things. My husband, Jeremy, is always trying to keep me centered of like, oh, you're leaning too far on the music thing, you know, for those musicians who are married and understand, or even partners really, who understand like you have to find the times where you're not bleeding too much into one vein of your life. And sometimes I think as musicians, we love it so much that we just never want to stop.
Yeah.
Well, it would be hard too because if you have that creative burst or whatever that wants to come out, you don't want to be like,
Yes.
oh,
100%,
shut it, you know?
100%. Yes, because then you're like, okay,
Is it going to
I'm
come
on
back?
a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, he's super supportive. I do get fulfillment in being able to run that creative side of my life and brain and love, but then still be able to have all those same things that I love. I mean, I'm so lucky to have the family that I do and still get to be so privileged to make music and play music. And I know there's a lot of people who don't get both of those things. So super grateful.
And then you add in the business of music.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that is very much a hard part, and folks don't know
I
about.
have stories I could tell you. Yes.
Well, you do. I mean, so I'm going to segue this a little bit into the new album, which Do It All Over Again.
Yes, do it all again.
Do it. Sorry,
Yes,
do it.
no, it's
Do it
okay.
all again.
It's okay.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, which
is kind of
on
aptly
so many
named
levels.
of like, yes.
so
doing it
many
again.
levels.
Yes.
So many levels.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
that's the idea of that.
Yes.
From the first album to the second album to
Yes.
so much of it is
Yes. Starting
and
over from, the early season to now. And yes, agreed.
well, and the idea that you were able to take time and really think about what's my mission statement, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah, I felt like I could have stayed in the lane that I was doing before. It's called CCM, Christian Contemporary Music, I think it's called. But I could just tell it wasn't fulfilling me in the ways, not that music wasn't wonderful and I didn't love it, but I could just tell that there was more to me. There was more of a message that I wanted to share. And especially because I felt like I couldn't play at venues. I mean, it keeps you from being able to share your original music. So, so that was a big part of me expanding and exploring what I was capable of doing and what I felt like I had more inside of me.
Do you have sort of a mission statement? Do you have some things that you know you want to do that incorporates that, moving forward? Or is it just kind of an open door of I'm exploring?
Well, I think my biggest message that I focus on when it comes to sharing out and playing venues is sharing that message of, number one, it's never too late. That no matter where you are in your season of life, you don't feel like, well, now I'm in my 40s, now I'm in my 60s, now I'm in my 50s, 30s, whatever, that my dream is gone, because it's not. And it might look different. It might look different than when you're 18 and out of college. But I just want that mantra. I think there's so many, and myself included, I found that, as a wife, as a working mom, I forget the things that were so important to me. And sometimes you let that get covered unintentionally until all of a sudden you have this ability to be like, oh my gosh, like this was in there all along and this is so important to me. And I want to be that encouragement to women and men, but just to say you can do really hard things. And I just am championing others to say that it might be really hard, but you are worth it, and if you have a message inside of you that you can do it.
Well, and I think that's especially important for people who do have small children, because there's a time where you're just too tired.
Yes.
You're just, I mean, unless you've been doing it, or unless but for most people, there's a natural time for certain things.
Yes.
As you said, there's kind of a time where like, okay, now I can.
Yep. Agreed.
Is there a song we should play for you that might epitomize some of this?
From my album?
Yeah.
Well, I would love to do maybe the title track. Do It All Again would be a fun one to start with.
All right, let's start.
I like the not letting yourself get in your own way of doing what brings you joy, you know?
Yeah.
So we do make excuses or...
Yeah, I think you get comfortable in things.
And you're
and
just
then,
like, oh, I didn't do it then, Nick. It's just
yep.
done. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a fear of.
For sure there's fear.
No, but what a good example for your kids, too. Be like, my mom's on fire. I love it. Yeah. No, I think, yeah. It's a good message for everybody to have. I have to send this to my dad because it's right up his alley. He loves, well, Rachel Kurtz, I was going to say, it sort of reminded me, and you're probably too young to know, but Anita Baker.
I know the name, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This reminded me, I was like, oh my God, my dad will be driving and he'll be playing this. He won't be singing it, but he will, like, 'cause he can't hit that. But I was like, this reminds me. Yeah.
So nice of you guys to let me share all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
For you.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Fun to hear the stories.
I know. I want you to have a song for Joyce. Is that the one that set you up with your husband?
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be a Joyce song.
Oh, yeah. Well, there isn't specifically in this album. Well, I guess unless you consider you gotta hold on.
5 seconds.
That is Do It All Again by Jennifer Marie, who we have in studio.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You have such a powerful voice.
Oh, thank you.
A voice that's really made for anthems and getting people excited.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the song itself?
Yeah. So it was written by me, piano and lyrics and everything. And so I worked with a producer in Georgia, actually.
Oh.
I stalked him on Instagram and I was like, hey, I love your work, listening to some of the artists that he's done. And I was like, I would love to, do you have time to take me on? And it's funny, the recording of this and a couple others we did virtually, which I've never done before. Like almost like a Zoom call, where I was recording into a program. He was on the other side, and I never had to fly to Georgia, so that was a nice cost savings for me. But it's about a relationship that is bad for you, and you keep going back. As simple as
Been there, done that.
I don't know anything about that.
No.
Yeah.
No. So when you were recording it, could you see him while you were doing this? But is it where you could? Okay, so that's helpful.
So we did the first one where he was live with me on the camera. So his name is Corey. Something's not working. How do I do this? And then the other two, I felt like, okay, I got this. So then I would just record it myself and literally send him the file, and he would put it together and he'd say, okay, how do you feel about this? And I've never done that. I've always been local with the producers here in town, so that was really cool.
That was one of the interesting things about it. So 2021, it's where you're
Sharing
you get to know
files,
get to know people. I mean, people know
Yeah.
the technology better, and you have
Yeah.
time to kind of get to see the people that you. So what an opportunity to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I know. I would have never thought that exists. And I think I hear that the bigger artists, the Taylor Swifts of the world, that they do this a lot. But, in small indie artist world, I didn't think that was possible. So it was really cool to experience the technology.
Well, it's so much easier than going. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's a game changer for the music
Yes.
industry for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. Did you? I mean, obviously you played music before kids.
Yes. Yep.
BK, as we
Yeah.
sometimes say BK. Did you perform before then? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, just like in local things. So like church, maybe a talent show here and there. Nothing to the level that I'm doing now. Very small scale stuff.
And you started mostly. You've been playing music longer than you've really been performing a lot outside of the.
For sure. Yeah, I started playing piano when I was 8.
Okay.
And I started writing my first song when I was 15. And so just always loving it. Like I said, it was always in my heart, and this desire of just loving to create music and feelings and emotions and all the things, and just, having to put it aside for a season, but it was always there.
Well, it must be interesting now to play in front of audiences.
Yes.
And how is playing in front of audiences an impact on your songwriting?
Well, with the new project, it's so fun to see it so warmly accepted. Not that the CCM stuff wasn't. I couldn't get an experience of what that was like.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, that music doesn't necessarily translate as well. So now this time reaching out to venues, they're so welcoming of like, yeah, come on over, come this night, come that night. So having the people hear music of mine that I really feel like kind of for the first time, they're responding so kindly has just been like, wow, it's so affirming to, okay, hopefully I'm doing something right. It feels like I'm doing something right.
Sounds like to
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
when I hear it, it
Yeah.
sounds very right.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm just so grateful that people have been as kind as they have been, and I can't wait for the album release in January just to hear people's response of like, here's kind of the Jennifer 2.0 of this is this direction of where I want to go with songwriting, and I just can't wait to hear what people think.
While you're mentioning it, I'll say, why don't you tell us where it is and what time and all the good.
Yes.
Good info at the-
So Nolan at 318 Cafe has been so kind to let me come there on January 16th. So it'll be 6 days after the album is officially out. And it's a Thursday night from dinner is at 6 and the show is 8 to 10. And I'll have a live band with me, and we'll do all the songs from the album, and I'll do a bunch of really fun covers like Whitney Houston, Sam Smith, Wilson Phillips, like just fun covers that are, you know and love.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
And that is a cozy place in the winter.
Yeah.
You're in because
I
it's so
can't
close
wait.
to the lake, but it's really, and it's a gorgeous space, and the food is good.
I haven't been there yet.
Well, you'll love it.
I
You'll be
was-
such a good fit. Yes.
We were talking a little bit before we started our interview that there's an artist I want to come see. Carrie Noble has a Christmas concert coming out, or a holiday show that is happening at 318, and I'm trying really hard to get there. A, to see her, but then also B, to see the space and meet Nolan and just check out the cool thing, because I've not been able to play there yet. So I can't wait to see it.
Your voice will fill it so well.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, I think that must be a challenge to be trying to book places that you maybe have or haven't been in, and to get a feel for whether it's going to be a good fit
For sure.
or not,
For sure.
But
Absolutely.
you mentioned the Astor before, which would be a great place for you,
Yes.
as opposed to say Seventh Sea Gentry, where I'm used to seeing a little more punk.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
It's
right.
As a feel or a vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's as I've been playing out, I am getting the sense of like, okay, this place is definitely more of that acoustic, soulful vibe that you just love to just cozy in your chair and get your nice cocktail and just enjoy your night.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other places where like you just want to bop in your seat and dance a little bit, and then that's where I bring in like the high energy, fun stuff. So yes, I'm learning the venues of what the people like and what the owners like, and yeah, it's all been a learning experience.
I said that is the business of music that people don't know about until you're
Yes.
in the deep end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But it seems like you are circumventing it well. I mean, it seems to be going.
Well, thank you. Yeah, people, like I said, people have been kind, and I had a bunch of venues from like August through really December, and then now I'll focus. I've got 2 more in December, and then I'm focusing almost all of my energy just on the January show, and then I'll eventually start booking for 2025.
And have you found ways to bring up the audience that enjoyed your first album as well? I suppose they are a newsletter or
yeah, I mean,
or...
through emails,
yeah,
you know, and through my social media channels. Yes, they are all staying involved that way. So
well, and that might be a nice way to introduce them to new venues and to new places as
for
well.
Sure. Yeah, because all of those people who, you know, were early followers of and liked my music, they will all be part of the invitation to 318. I mean, the thing that I have told a lot of people who followed me from before, it's like, I might not be writing, you know, maybe Jesus-centric music or Christian-focused music, but that doesn't mean that I'm like writing inappropriate music with, you know, things that would be very off-putting, you know. So it's still wholesome music. It's just not in that vein, if you will. And so it's intentionally meant not to offend anyone if they prefer that kind of music, and that's okay. If they still want to stay in that lane, that, you know, I knew that would be part of this transition, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. So it was just more about what feels true to me and what speaks to me while still trying to kind of live in both worlds in a way, which is a weird place to be, because I still love to sing in my local church, and I actually still sing in other churches that hire out or need worship leaders, and I love that. I'm going to keep doing that. So it's this kind of foot in both camps sometimes.
Well, it is interesting because the song that we, by happenstance, played right before it was Rachel Kurtz, and she's done a great job of kind of transitioning to singing songs of very, you know, bringing people around to having the audience who knew her from church camps and different things.
Okay, I need to learn about her. Yeah. I was listening to her song and I was like, wow, her voice. I need to introduce myself to her because her voice is incredible.
Well, and you both have that, as I said, you know, kind of the anthem-y, you know, just the powerful.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Voice.
Comparing it to hers, her voice is great. Yeah.
Should we play another song?
I would love that.
What would you like?
I will take Take Me Back would be a great one.
Take Me Back by Jennifer Marie.
Always when it does the little like
it does not matter how well you know a song, that 2 second you're like, what's broken?
I'm sure
so
it's
I get all the
terrifying
gray
too,
hair.
because you feel like you probably don't want dead air, and that's probably
just for you too. Like it's just like
Well, and the real thing is
when you
like a second, that's fine. But like immediately, what did I break?
Yeah.
What did I break, and how long is this gonna be? Yeah. How long can you riff on? You know?
Yeah.
Especially if it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Do a little monologue on.
Yeah.
This one makes you want to move in your chair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when we have gone to see Rachel Kurtz, she always addresses the crowd that she has the Lutheran luncheon ladies and then the pop city folk or whatever. So awesome. She is a very...
So she'll understand
absolutely
my plate.
Absolutely.
How do you try and be respectful of both camps?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, the more artists I've talked to, the more I'm finding that story is actually very common. Maybe not necessarily they released Christian music before, but just that was part of their history, or maybe still is.
Yep.
And that we've resonated in that of how do you live out your life trying to, you know, be the best person that you want to be, you know. And so it's been good. People have been very kind of sharing wisdom and thoughts, which I'm appreciative of.
Yeah. I know, that's the one nice thing that we've learned through talking to so many people. Everybody is helpful and more of a community rather than, no, it's my stage or whatever. They want to be like, hey, this is what I learned or whatever. They're useful to, rather
I'm glad you feel that way too.
Yeah.
Take Me Back by Jennifer Marie, who we have in studio.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about, I love the title because there are so many different meanings to Take Me Back. But tell me about the song.
Yes. So this is also another one that I wrote lyrically. The producer I worked with helped me with the music. So it was kind of a joint effort there. But my husband, when we first started dating, we'll be married for 20 years in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And when we first started dating, he was in the Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas, and I lived up in Minnesota. So we, were long distance for 18 months before we got married. And then I moved down to Arkansas, and we were there for, I think, 6 years before we had kids. And then we ultimately moved back to the Minneapolis area. But that song is about, when a couple is still very much in love, but you feel that staleness of like those good times, those early years where you're like, I just want to go back to that time,
Yeah.
Take me back to those early years when like all we needed was each other and it didn't matter. And not that you have lost your love now, but just those fond memories of like, take me back there. Let's remember that time and let's bring that forward to where we are now. I mean, I think anyone who's been married for any length of time knows what that's like, or even not married, just dating. I mean, you know what it's like to feel that pull sometimes of things maybe aren't the way that it used to be. And so that song was about that, of take me back to the good old days, in a fun dance way, not like a lament of like, take me back.
Right. And not like should we return bottles so we can go out to eat tonight, It is, because there really is a trade-off, and there does come a point where like, remember when we...
Yeah.
And often it is, again, PK.
Yes.
Pre-kids.
Yes.
We're like, remember,
for sure.
we didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. for these little
100%.
bundles we love.
Yeah.
But also could go to grandma's tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yes.
And usually that does, but within the next 2 days, I think maybe grandma could stay here for a day. But you need it. I mean, I think that's just, and even just remembering those times, I think can be.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. And trying to, what purposeful things can we do to, make decisions that bring us together,
Yeah.
We've certainly had our times of hardships, and, we stay together and find different ways that, fulfill us. So not outside of the marriage. I mean, like between. We're not like open married. No.
I was thinking like, I don't know, cooking class.
Yeah.
But we're not. Yeah. That's. Yeah. What is your process for writing songs? Do you?
Yeah, I have. Well, you heard the first one in 2020, kind of just like word vomit on a notebook at that time of just all these things that came to mind. But it's really, sometimes it's with two of these songs, Take Me Back and I'm Releasing, were both where the producer sent me a track that I was like, I love this. And I was just like, yes. And I just built lyrics into it, which Take Me Back was one of those. And then I'm Releasing is the other, where I'd never done that before. And I love that process. So I'm hoping that future songs that, whichever producer I'm working with likes that. Because I just think it's, sometimes you get stuck in your way, and it's so cool to hear something new and fresh, and it's immediately, there's creativity that you just bleed into it. So sometimes it's hearing a song or a lick or something I do on the keys where I hear something. Other times it's just a message that I'm just forcing the music into. Like, these are the words that I have to get out of me, and I'm just writing around it. So it's kind of depends.
So is it, oh, sorry, when you're answering it, is it like a silent movie almost, but you're filling the dialogue in your head with the
Kind
track?
of.
That, okay.
Well, yeah, and then also if you would almost consider like when, for the example of Take Me Back, where the music was given to me, similarly where you just have this blank slate of this could literally be anything of any topic, and I just start wrestling with. Sometimes it starts with a melody hook that I like, and then the lyrics come. Or sometimes it's like I said, that if I want it to be about love, then it's going that direction. But,
Okay.
yeah.
I was in my head I had it like, the music made you feel or see whatever. So, but I like that way too.
It's like a spin on the singer-songwriter challenge where they get a different word every week.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that would be an interesting way to do that.
I
Where
know.
just to have one riff or
like
one,
it.
Yep.
see what different people do with
Yep.
that.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
it's
is
really
interesting.
amazing how each artist is different and each song is different. And it's really, dependent on the environment you're in or the thing you're dealing with or your stress level. I mean, it's just so many things can
Factors.
change that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then you work with the producer to do it. Or
Yeah. So I worked, 2 of the songs are with the incredible Matt Patrick at the
Mhm.
library, who
Yep.
is just, he was another one where I reached out to him and I was like, can I please meet with you? I thought for sure he would say no. Not because he was rude, but I just, he's kind of a local legend. And I just thought there's no way he has time to take on a baby artist who, he's never heard of before. But he was so kind, and he said absolutely, like, come on in, and he showed me around his studio, and so I was so privileged to be in his space and work with him. I know he's worked with so many incredible people, and then there was this guy in Georgia as well that I found online.
I think that's awesome. It's fun to hear as I said, the business of the music, how you're kind of getting through all these roads and finding the right paths for you.
Yeah.
I think that it's inspiring to others.
Well, and I could tell you some incredible hardships, too, that I'm sure every artist has. I mean, there are early decisions that you think you're supposed to make as an artist where, whether you're signing a management contract or working with someone and you're starting out with this, very high fee once a month. And then you realize, like, oh, this is maybe not what I should have done, or maybe I shouldn't have worked with this person. And so you learn sometimes the hard way, and I certainly did, of just, you learn and you make decisions differently next time, and you ask for advice from others. And it's been a hardship sometimes, and then great wisdom other times.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Do you have any advice for folks who are just emerging in this or finding themselves in the mire of, ooh, that was a too quick decision?
Yeah, I networked so hard and still do. I was just hitting Instagram and Facebook with anyone in the market of, can I please have coffee with you? Can I please meet you? And I met with so many artists, and even the ones I couldn't meet with, just asking them questions on Instagram. And so many of them were so kind of, can I ask you 10 questions of how did you get started and who did you work with and what were your pitfalls? And that's what I would recommend, of just networking, because if you come across as you don't want to put the work in, or you don't want to take the time to get to know people, and then you just want to hire out for a show, I don't know, there's just this sense of when you put the energy into finding community and making these people know that you are authentic and you care about their stories and you want them to care about your story, and it just feels that sense of like, I'm not just here for the quick show and here's your money for, a band session kind of thing.
And I think we've seen, at least, there's a strong sense of community, or communities.
Yeah.
Might even be more so. I mean, I think the community as a whole, but there are different,
For sure.
different genres or different
Yep.
folks who are.
Yeah, I agree.
Folks who are up early in the morning and folks who are up late at night. Just like anything, the
Yeah.
practicalities come into it.
Yeah, and people have been so kind of where I've just been, you don't know me, but I found you XYZ, or I heard you here, and I just appreciate your artistry and what you're doing, and I just would love to ask you a few questions. And they've always been like, yeah, what's up, So I just think it's so kind. And I too have been asked on the reciprocal of that, and it just feels so fulfilling. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I did.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very cool.
That when it goes full circle, that
Yes.
is. I mean, and that is the definition of community.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you give a little, you take a
Yep.
little. Give a little, take
Yep.
a little in it. You know,
Yeah.
the sum of the whole is.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Should we play one more song?
Sure. I would love to do one by Matt Patrick. I would love to share his amazingness. It's the last song on there. It's my only ballad.
Is it the How I Get There?
Yep. How do I
Okay,
get there?
yeah.
Yep.
How do I get there?
Sorry.
By
No,
Jennifer,
that's okay.
by Jennifer Marie on Mostly Minnesota Music on WMCN 91.7 FM in St. Paul. We've got her in studio, and now we're going to hear a song off the upcoming album.
Sorry, I didn't want to assume that it was in
No,
the same
I was-
order, so I was like,
No, I was confusing it with the other one I did with Matt, and I was having a brain fog
Oh,
for a second.
yeah,
Oh,
does that happen?
God,
Good, good. That happens to everyone.
So I was like,
Okay.
Yep,
Good,
that one.
Good. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
did he, when we've talked to people, they always say he has like all these
Different
crazy
instruments
cool
and stuff.
instruments
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
little toy chest that
Yes.
pulling out, and that
He
sounds so
loves
fun.
finding, the unique, odd, and not only does he love finding it, but then he learns how to play it. So he'll
Yeah.
just pull out this random, like wood pipe thing that he got from somewhere, and he's taken the time to learn it. And yeah, the man is incredible.
That's good.
Yeah. And he, even on this song, he had this notebook, like a spiral notebook. And there's a part in the song where he took I don't know, it was a piece of like a dry erase board, and he pulled down the metal parts of the notebook
Yeah.
and created that into the drum thing that you'll hear in the
Oh.
bridge.
Nice.
And I was recording it, and I'm like,
That's cool.
of course Matt Patrick is creating a drum percussion build
With a
out of a
Spiral notebook.
It's like MacGyver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking a little bit at the clock on the wall. So when we get back, we might talk about,
Totally, yes.
remind folks about
Yeah.
everything, and then
Yep, totally.
I try to model good behavior because
Yeah.
students will replace us.
Don't, kick me out.
Not for you, in front of you. You don't need me to model, but maybe just a few minutes and then.
This one's a good one for our theme.
Mm-hmm.
can't see that.
No. 'Cause it's not really reflective, that. Yeah, I thought, yeah. I can see with the music, it's just, it doesn't go proportionately. It's just. How Do I Get There by Jennifer Marie, who we have in studio.
Yes.
It's lovely. Tell us about that song. Those are some lessonable words.
Oh, that song brings up so much emotion. The first two songs that you were kind enough to play have both been released. This one has not been, so no one has heard that song yet. So that's really fun.
You.
Yes,
Yes.
you played that.
Yes.
So thank you so much for doing that. And by the incredible Matt Patrick at the library. Was just a phenomenal experience working with him. That song brings up so much emotion because that is the exact place where I've released my first project, the business of music, like you said. I just felt like the stories I could tell you guys of the things that had happened to me in succession, just at boulder after boulder after boulder. And those words of just like, I was supposed to be in a place. And if I would have told you 2 years ago, this was where, I would have never foreseen that this is how far I had fallen, never would have thought that these things would have happened to me. And I just was in this lament of like, how am I supposed to, live with regret and these decisions I've made that, had I been able to go back, I wouldn't have made, but the damage is done. And just feeling that sense of, when I had released that first project, feeling like this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And just feeling that unsettledness of something's not right. I keep running into these issues. And I just was in a place of how do I, trust myself to try again, do it all again. How do I find that courage and not settle in that fear of, it's okay to make mistakes and fall on your face very publicly sometimes and just to start over. I mean, it was a really painful season, and that song was just a really therapeutic session for me to just let so much of that out in writing. So I was really, really special to me to write that song.
Those painful times are the times of real growth.
Oh, yeah.
Because
For sure.
if everything had gone right, you may find yourself in a place where you don't want to be, and it's all gone right. And then what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that's hopeful, or at least community building for folks who are in that or about to be there.
Yes.
And I have 3 daughters who I'm going to venture quite a bit older than yours, but there are times I'm like, 2 years, pumpkin, or 6 months.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's nothing to some, it'll be, and when you're looking back, when you're in the middle of it, 9 months is forever.
Yeah.
But once you're done, that was nothing.
Yeah.
But that sense of, and aren't you glad you are on the road that you feel is better for you?
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't have avoided. I wish some things maybe weren't as difficult.
Right.
But I'm so glad of the lessons that I learned because yes, it absolutely made me a better businesswoman and entrepreneur and just musician in general. But yeah, very painful seasons for sure.
I was going to say, and as a listener, listening to the lyrics too, and you get the emotion rather than just singing some words right in front of you, it adds that extra layer.
Thank you.
Hear and see.
I'm so glad you feel that way. Yeah, I can't wait to do that song live in January because if I don't get emotional, I mean, like it's an emotional song.
Good.
That's
Yeah.
People are like, well, it feels like you're definitely onto a better season.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. There are many chapters I was able to close and have moved from. Yes, for sure.
I'm glad for anybody in Happy Chapter right now. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Will you remind us about when and where and all, so that people will know where to see you live?
Yes, thank you so much for letting me share that. Thursday, January 16th at 318 Cafe in Excelsior is the album release show. There'll be a full band, and the dinner starts at 6. The show is 8 to 10. It's open to all ages, so it doesn't have to be 18 plus.
Nice.
Will your kids be there?
I am trying. My kids are so sick of me. They don't.
They're like, we've
That's
heard this
fair.
song over and
That's
over.
fair.
They're like, Mom. I said, you guys, can you just come for like? So they said we'll go if we can bring some of our friends. I'm like, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
have them bring their moms and dads
Yeah.
or whatever. So tickets are $25, and so they're like, I said, have them buy a few tickets for their friends and their moms and dads, and you guys can hang out.
And let them sit in the back.
Yeah.
They can always walk up to the front for a couple songs. but-
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
so over me. They don't,
Yeah, it's,
as any kid.
that's
with
the beauty of
musician.
kids. That's
Yeah.
the beauty of kids. We love them anyways.
Yes.
Sometimes we're over them.
Yeah.
Turns out. Brief moments.
No,
Yeah.
come on now.
Well, no, we aren't. We aren't really, but sometimes everybody's over everybody.
That's
Yes.
true.
I mean,
Sometimes
that's
you just
just
need a minute.
sometimes you just need to own it and be like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna.
I was going to say, can people catch you at the Astor too?
Yes,
coming up?
I'll be
Yes.
there December 13th.
Okay.
Yep, that's a Friday night.
Yeah.
Yep. Those are $10 cover tickets. And then I have a show in December, but it's way up in Anoka, so I know that feels like a forever travel time for those of us in the Twin City Metro. But yeah, Astor on the 13th in December.
Awesome.
Yes.
Jennifer, thank you so much for
Oh,
bringing your lovely voice here.
thank
It's
you
been
so
a
much.
delight to talk to
The
you.
honor is mine, really. I'm so thankful you brought me in and let me share my story. Yes.
Very interesting.
Thank
you. All right, what do we got next,
We are
honey?
going to start off here with King Perry with Count With Me.
King Perry is playing November 18th at the Green Room. I think that's
Nice.
tomorrow.
Yep.